Okay. All right, so circles day 2, talking about radius, diameter, and circumference. And I need my little pen. Where is it? There it is. Can't get my screen to, oh, there we go. Anthony, we're gonna finish the book today.
I love that book.
All right, I'm glad you like the book so much.
It's so fun because when I didn't.
Okay. All right, friends. So from Friday, what do you guys remember about the relationship between circumference and diameter? What's the relationship between circumference and diameter? Tyler.
They're both always.
Well, that's not the relationship. That doesn't answer my question. They're aspects of a circle, but no, they're not both way to measure a circle. Diameter is across the circle and the circumference is all the way around. Maddie, what do you remember?
No, circumference is diameter times pi.
Yes, circumference is the diameter times pi, or about 3 times the diameter. Good. So in your notes, the circumference is the term for the perimeter of a circle. And then let's go ahead and write, yeah, this is the first slide that you guys have. And circumference is about equal to 3 times the circle's diameter. To be more exact, 3.14159.
Right?
And that's all I have memorized. I've never done this. No, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, let's keep going. Everybody have those things in your notes? Okay. So if I were to okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next slide and you'll see a graph in front of you. If I were to graph diameter and circumference, so right here you see diameter along the x-axis and circumference along the y-axis. If I were to graph those two, I would be graphing a straight line. So for example, when the diameter is 1, the circumference is about 3. It's a little bit more. It's just right here. It's a little bit above the 3. When the diameter is 2, the circumference is a little bit more than 6. Okay, so you would get a straight line. And the reason for that is that the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter is a constant. All right, so on that slide, go ahead and fill in constant in the blank. Okay, so how cool is it that that relationship is a ratio? The relationship pi is a ratio. It's the ratio of a circumference to its diameter. Pi is a ratio of its circumference to its diameter. So if we were to divide a circle's circumference by its diameter, we would always get 3.14 into infinity. Which is pretty cool. Okay. No, it's not. It's it doesn't end. So pi is a decimal. We'll talk about it in a second. And the next slide, actually, right now. So all fractions can be written as a decimal, which either terminates like 0.5. Okay, what's the fractional equivalent of 0.5, guys? It's just 1/2, right? Yeah, it's 1/2. And 1/2, if we were to write that as a decimal, it doesn't go on and on and on. It's just 0.5. Fractions can also, some fractions are non-ending decimals, which repeat a pattern. For example, 1/3, Kinsey, eyes up here, please. If you need to go ahead and tuck that into your shirt, please, so it's not a distraction. Thank you. 1/3 is equal to 0.333333333 repeating. And so we use a little repeating sign above the 0.3 to show that it's that same pattern. Repeating decimals can also look something like this. 1/7 equals 0.142857. 142857. So we would repeat that like this. So the digits that repeat are 142857. Ainsley. You know what? That's just a mistake. Okay. All right. So any decimal that terminates or has a repeating pattern can be written as a fraction. Any decimal that terminates or has a repeating pattern can be written as a fraction. Pi cannot be written as an exact fraction. However, we will use a fraction that will approximate pi. All right, so the ratio circumference over diameter, circumference divided by diameter, is an unending decimal which has no repeating pattern among its digits. So digits might, you'll have similar digits, but there's absolutely no pattern. So a couple, I don't know how many years ago it was probably quite a while ago, it's probably a decade ago. Has anybody ever heard of these people who memorize things as a sport? It's like a competition. So we've got these individuals that are like super memorizers. They can memorize like just huge amounts of information, and they have like, strategies that they use to do this. And then they compete. So there was a man who memorized pi, I believe it was out to over 10,000 digits. And he did it with a very short amount of prep time, not like weeks or something like that. It was like hours. So he was repeating pi for several hours in a row. Yes.
I'm watching a YouTube video of this guy. It's really reciting pi.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at how long the video was, it was like an hour or something. I was like, he's reciting pi that long.
That does not sound like a fun Friday night right there.
No. It's like homework.
Well,
Yes.
it's pretty impressive. I bet these people stay sharp pretty long. Okay. So anyways, pi never repeats itself and it doesn't end. It goes on into an infinity. Supercomputers have calculated pi out to like the billionth digit or something like that, but it's just never ending. So this ratio is not written as a fraction. The value, which goes on forever, whoops, there we go, is represented by the symbol pi. So go ahead and write this in your blank right there. And then go ahead and write in parentheses pi. So that's how that letter is spelled in English. It's a Greek letter. It's pi. Annie.
So it's pi going on right now. Like I said, it's still.
It's a number. So it doesn't, it's just a number. So it's a ratio. It's a ratio. So, excuse me. So it's not a number, it's a relationship. But it's not, I don't understand what you mean. Like, is it still going on right now?
Like,
It already is. It just is. No one has discovered the end of it. Yeah. Hala,
Like, how did they get all these numbers?
how do they get pi? Well, that's a good question. I don't remember like the exact history, but basically ancient mathematicians looked at a circle and they looked at a diameter and they noticed that no matter how big the circle was or how small the circle was, the relationship between the circumference and the diameter was always the same. It was always the same ratio. So that's how they got it. Okay. All right, so the relationship between the circumference and the diameter of a circle can be represented like this. Circumference divided by diameter equals pi. Now, we're just going to use pi. Finn, can you go ahead and sit up for me, please? Show me star. Thank you. Mostly what we're concerned with is finding the circumference. We won't ever need to find pi because we already know pi. Pi is a constant. It doesn't ever change. So really what we are most concerned with is this equation right here. To find the circumference of the circle, we're going to multiply pi times diameter. And the way we abbreviate this, our actual expression is going to look like this. Circumference equals pi diameter. Now, before we move on, let's write one more expression here. Sometimes it's useful to use the radius instead. Sometimes it might be useful to use a radius instead of diameter. Because you might be given a circle that looks like this, and you could always just find the diameter. But let's say you've got something like that. Could we rewrite this equation to include radius instead of diameter? What could we substitute in for the diameter to use radius? So let's do pi times something and take the d out. What do you think? Here, let's substitute. Pi, what would diameter equal if we're comparing it to radius? Yeah. Yeah, it would be 2r, right? Okay, so if we were actually to simplify that equation, we always put coefficients in the front, right? So we start with coefficients. Circumference equals 2 pi r. Okay, so pi d is really what you want to memorize. If you want to use 2 pi r, if you're given the equation, you can do that. Since pi is an unending, non-repeating decimal, we have to use an approximation for pi in computations involving pi. Okay, so when we do our math, we're not gonna, multiply out to 10 digits or whatever. That would be really cumbersome. In calculators, the value of pi is about 3.141592654. Stops after that, all right? They don't continue on pi. For our calculations, we're gonna use 3.14 or 22/7. Okay, so a couple slides ago, we showed that 1/7 is about equal to, I think it was 1428 and so on. So 22/7 is really close to 3.14. And for our purposes, we're gonna use either. When would it be a good idea to use 22/7 in our calculations to find circumference? Remember, circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So we're always going to be multiplying by pi. Why would we ever want to use a fraction? Charlie? Okay, if it's already in fractions, let's say we've got a diameter of 14 inches. Would it be more convenient to use a pi that's 22/7? Remember, we're multiplying pi times diameter, or 3.14 times 14? Okay. Take a look, 22/7 times, let's say our diameter is 14. What would be more convenient, using this or 3.14 times 14? What's easier? Yeah, the fraction, right? So we'll use 22/7 when we have a diameter or a radius that's a multiple of 7, right? Because then you can just cross cancel, it's so easy. And we'll use 3.14 all other times. Okay. So go ahead and fill in 22/7 is good to use if the radius or diameter is a multiple of 7 or 0.7. Otherwise, 3.14 is a better choice. All right, so let's get some practice finding circumference. All right, number 1, O is the center of the circles. Find the radius. Okay. Oh, I guess that's not circumference yet. I might add a couple. We might go ahead and find the circumference anyways. All right, so on this first circle on letter A, what is the radius if the diameter is 8 centimeters? Gabby? Yep, let's go ahead and fill in 4. Okay, just do this one right now. What is the radius if the diameter is 1.8 feet? Okay, we're just looking at 18/10, so what is the radius? Finn? Yep, 0.9 feet. All right, let's find the circumference of one of these. We'll find the circumference of the first circle. When we find circumference, we are going to make sure that we include 3 lines of work because we're working with a formula. All right, so who can remind me of my formula for circumference? We just had one slide back. Anthony? Pi times diameter. Good. So we'll start with the formula. Make sure we're all copying what's on the board. And I'm going to ask you to keep that put away. And if I see it, then it becomes a distraction again. And then it's going to go back on my desk at the end of the day. Okay. What do I substitute in for pi in this case if diameter is 8 centimeters? Kala? Right. I wouldn't want to use 22/7 for this because it's not going to help me at all. So we're going to multiply 3.14 times 8. Okay, and let's do our multiplication down here. Okay, remember when I multiply, I'm going to line up digits, not decimals. All right, so go ahead and do that math and then look up to see if you got it right. How many of us got it right? Okay, good. Let's try, okay, well, you guys are pros. Let's do this one. It's got decimals. All right, so first line of work, circumference equals pi d. Is 18/10 a multiple of 7? No, so let's not use 22/7. We're going to use 3.14 times 1.8. Okay, then you go ahead and do your math down at the bottom or wherever you have room. Um, 5.652. Okay, well, I got there in the end. Okay, all right, ready to move on? All right, so if I ask you, what is the relationship between diameter and radius? Diameter equals what compared to radius?
Right.
Times what? Okay, if I ask you what is radius compared to diameter, radius equals what diameter? 1/2 of diameter, right? Okay, good. And if I ask you what is how do you find the circumference of a circle? What would you tell me? How would you find the circumference of a circle, Ainsley? Pi times diameter. Nice job. Okay, let's do some more really quickly. Why don't you guys go ahead and we'll do one together and then you guys will do the last on your own. All right, O is the center of the circle. In this circle, we have a radius of 6 centimeters. What's the diameter in number 2A? What is it? 12. How about 2B? What's the diameter? 9. Okay, good. All right. Number 3. We're going to get a little practice writing formulas. 3A, a circle has a radius of 5.2 inches. What's its diameter? So let's go ahead and start with the diameter formula. Diameter equals 2R. All right, go ahead and substitute for the next line and then just write your answer. Do the same thing for number 3B. Yes. Yeah. Okay, what's my next line of work on 3A? Filling in the variable. Elijah? Nice job. 2 times 5.2. What is the answer on 2A? Kendall? Nice job. 10.4 what? Okay. A circle has a radius of, okay, there you go. Okay, good. That's our answer. How about number 3B? What's my next line of work? What's my next line of work of 3B? Ashley? 10.6 divided by 2. Good job. Ashley, do you have the answer? $5.3. Great job. Okay. Let's go ahead and find circumference for both of these. Okay. So remember, so let's just draw a line here. Circumference equals pi d. Remember, you have to use d or 2 pi r. Okay, so go ahead and find the circumference for both, please. Okay, so when you're doing these problems, you guys, it's helpful if you kind of try to estimate what the answer should be before or after you complete your multi-digit multiplication. But what did you guys get for the first one? 3a, circumference equals what? Come on, you guys, be brave. Be brave. Kala? Yes, it is. Good job. 32.656. And we need to add a label there. So that one is in inches. So when you're checking your answer, you can kind of look at, okay, what's 3 times 10? It's about 30. Well, it's 30, right? But we're going to be a little bit more than 30 because we've got a little bit more than 3 and a little bit more than 10. So 32 point something is a really reasonable answer. How about 3b? What do we get for circumference on that one? What do we get? If you guys are waiting on me to put an answer up there so you don't have to do the multi-digit multiplication. Shame.
Me.
Hey. Okay, Annie? Yes, nice job. 16.642, what? I think this one is in centimeters. Okay. I believe you guys have another slide there. Okay, notes. All right, so some more circumference problems. Find the circumference of the circle given the diameter, and we're going to use 3.14 for these. All right, so on letter A, we have 3.14, and what is the diameter of this one? Tyler? Great. So let's go ahead and multiply. 3.14 times 3. This is a pretty easy peasy one. Some of these you'll be given so many times you're going to memorize the answer, honestly. And my circumference is what, guys? 9.42 feet. Good job. All right, over here we've got 3.14. What is the diameter on this circle, Nora? Yes, it's times 10. So let's not even write this multi-digit multiplication down. What's the answer, folks? 31.4. All I have to do is move the decimal place, and this one is in inches. Let's not forget our label. Elijah?
Wait, why is it?
Okay, because this is the radius. The radius is 5. We need to use the diameter. Yep, so diameter in this case equals 10 inches. All right. Do we have one more? We have a couple more. Do have a couple more. Okay, moving on. All right, now we've got a radius of 7 inches, and it says to use 22 over 7 because we've got multiples of 7. What's the diameter of this circle? 5a, 14 centimeters. It's always helpful to write the information on the circle that you don't have written on there already. Tyler, 22 times 7 times what?
3.14.
Nope, we've already got 22 over 7. So in this case, we're not going to use 3.14. We're going to use 22 over 7 equals pi. So I want to find the circumference of circle, the first circle, letter A, and my diameter is 14. Multiply by 14. Great job. These ones are easy peasy lemon squeezy, aren't they? What's the circumference of this circle? Shout it out, class.
44.
44 what? Great job. All right, over here, I've got 22 over 7 times, this time my diameter is given 21 over 1. We can cross cancel. And what's the circumference, class? 66 what?
Inches.
Inches. Great job. Okay, I think we have a couple more. Let's see if that's it. Yeah. One more, 2 more. A circle has a radius of 14 inches. All right, well, let's just stop for a moment. We're asked its circumference. What's its diameter before we get started? Isaac Ring? 28 inches. Great job. First line of work, what is it, guys, to find the circumference? C equals pi times D. In this problem, should I use 3.14 or 22 over 7, class? Oh, I have some disagreement. Mateo? Yeah, absolutely. We want to use 22 over 7 on this one. And we're going to multiply it times 28 over 1. And what does my circumference equal?
Inches.
88 inches. Great job. Okay,
Big.
this one, letter B, a circle has a diameter of 4 centimeters. What is its circumference? Okay, so we're gonna start with pi d again. Should I use 3.14 or 22/7 on this one? 3.14 times 4 inches, okay? So go ahead and do that math. We could probably do this in our heads. We could have. And what is my circumference equal for letter B? Caleb? Sorry, Caleb, your thunder got stolen there. 12.56, what? Don't forget your labels, folks. Okay. Put those aside for a moment. And we will finish. Circumference.
Fine. Did you make a circle? No.
Oh, he's gonna make the circle.